Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 22nd of January, which is a Monday evening. And this is a little roundup of stuff going on in the news in the past week and today. And my first story is Livingstone guilty of destroying government records. Okay, so here we have David Livingstone right here, and his accomplice, or his deputy, Laura Miller, dismissed all charges against Laura Miller. So let me just bring you up to date. This is a court case that's been going on for quite a little while now, and it is over the Oakville power plant scandal. Okay, so this is a story of two natural gas power plants that were going to be built close to Oakville, close to a residential area, and there was a lot of public pressure to not have these power plants go in, and Dalton McGuinty, who was Premier at the time, cancelled those two power plants at a cost of $1 billion to the Ontario taxpayers. Okay, so there was a big investigation by the OPP, and during the course of the investigation, all of the emails were scrubbed out of the government computers, and so Chief of Staff, or former Chief of Staff, David Livingstone, has been found guilty of this crime. Now, it has been through a court, a judge has ruled, the evidence has been laid out, and I was not privy to that evidence. But I can certainly say, from a public and from an optics point of view, can somebody tell me why a Chief of Staff, without being told, because we're to assume that he was in charge and he operated alone, would wantonly go into computers and wipe those hard drives clean, get rid of those emails? I cannot imagine a situation where that would happen. We've all had jobs, we've all been in places like that. Can you imagine working, say, for GM or GE or one of these companies, and as an executive assistant, and going into the boss's office or to his pool of assistants or whatever it is, and wipe those hard drives clean just off the top of your head, you just thought, out of some kind of loyalty to some higher power or whatever that might be, you just decided to wipe all of those hard drives of any incriminating evidence? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Am I the only person who is just smelling a honking great rat here? I mean, Jesus, who does that kind of stuff? I don't know anybody who would do that. So, anyway, I think the missing piece is the motive. And that is the two things you need to convict on a crime. Is you need evidence that the crime took place, and you need a motive. And I'm not seeing any motive here. There is nothing in this article about a motive as to why he should have done that, just that he did do that. So David Livingstone may take that with him to his grave, but I think there is a big chunk of this story that we are missing. Facebook feels bad that it makes you feel bad. Now, of course, we're getting more and more information out about social media and the effects that it has on people's psyches and personalities. Facebook published a quietly groundbreaking admission last month. Social media, the company said in a blog post, can make you feel good, but sometimes it can make you feel bad. Facebook used a corporate blog post to point to independent research showing its product can sometimes lead to lower measures of physical and mental well-being. The post stands as a direct affront to the company's reason for being. Consider Facebook's place in the social media firmament. It is the world's largest and most profitable social media company. Facebook depends on the idea that social media is a new and permanently dominant force in the human condition. And here's another little headline: Facebook to prioritize trustworthy news based on users. So this is not going to work. We all know it's not going to work, and you know why it's not going to work is because we all bring our own biases. And of course I am going to believe things that I tend to agree with, and I'm going to disbelieve things that I tend to disagree with. Certainly you'd have to go on a fact-finding mission, but really more people than not, I think, you just bring the bias to bear in all of this. And so when you put these two stories together and you have all of these biases floating around, and you have a platform which sucks you in. I mean, I'm sure you've all been on Facebook, but I'll tell you, it is almost impossible to get off Facebook. You just start scrolling down that page, and it's post after post after post of video after video clip of all these compelling things: animals trapped in ice, people getting attacked by bears, moose running down the side of the road, all kinds of new innovations. I mean, like it's just endless news and information going past your face. And you know, if you get trapped into social media, if you get trapped into the computer bubble, you lose contact with the real world. Now, conversations take practice. You actually have to engage with the real person. You can't just text people and learn how to converse, because you need to look at the person's face, their body language. You need to be listening to the words that they're using. You need to be able to interpret those words correctly, so that you derive as much meaning as you possibly can from the other person's words, so you can respond accurately and in such a way so that the conversation grows, so that it's not just my opinion or your opinion, but it is a combination of our opinions. And as those opinions climb one on top of the other, we will reach maybe a third opinion that neither of us had before we started the conversation. And that's what conversations are for, is to reach some kind of interesting conclusion where you both learn something and enjoy the learning process, where it is mildly combative, but in a friendly format. And it takes practice. You know, you just don't learn to do that sort of thing overnight. You actually have to learn to do it badly at first. And the more you isolate yourself on social media, the more difficult it will be, and the more you'll have to push yourself to go out there and have to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody, because it can be quite intimidating to have somebody actually disagree with your opinion. On a computer, you know, on Facebook, you can just type that little comment in and you can pretend like it never happened. You don't really have to feel the direct effects. No one's going to punch you in the face or give you a push or go, "What the hell are you talking about?" on Facebook. Or maybe they will, but you can turn that computer off. You know, you can shut Facebook down. You don't have to listen to the response, and that is not the same as having a visceral experience face to face with somebody, where you have to think on your feet and deal with the responses as they come forth. Okay, so this is, I thought, an interesting little comment. 1/3 of Canadians can't pay their bills. Survey. A new survey suggests 1/3 of Canadians can't pay their bills, including debt repayments. A quarterly MNP Consumer Debt Index survey finds that the number of Canadians who cannot cover their fixed monthly expenses is up 8 points since September. It also finds Canadians who are making ends meet have less disposable income, with an average $631 left after paying bills and contributing to debt repayment. That's 15% less money left over than in the previous quarter. Okay, so fully 1/3 of people in Canada are struggling to pay their bills. This is precipitous. This is a terrible state of affairs. If you cannot pay your bills, you are not spending in the broader economy. And if you're not spending in the broader economy, then the businesses that depend on your spending will start going belly up, and then we'll have layoffs, and then there'll be people earning even less, or more people earning even less, which will which starts this downward spiral. And once it starts feeding on itself, it can start to accelerate. Now we've seen a mild increase in interest rates, and house prices are dropping off moderately, or at least leveling off. And for all those people who took out equity mortgages, okay, you could be finding yourself in an interesting cash crunch. So we're going to follow that story and see where that goes. Now this is a pretty sad story. This is deeply sorry. I don't know if you saw these people on the news, but this young lady is Kuala Noman, and she said that she had been attacked on the way to school, and that an Asian man around about the age of 20 with a moustache who smiled at her, pulled down her hood, and with a pair of scissors put about a 12-inch cut into her hijab, ran off, came back, and did the same thing again. Okay, so what has happened since then is that the police have found out that it is a hoax, that it never happened, but there are some interesting aspects to this story, not the least of which is the way the press jumped on this story so quickly. They were down to that school interviewing these children, the young lady in question and her brother and her mom, and I'm going to be showing you clips of those interviews so you can get an idea of what took place and how orchestrated certainly the press seemed to be. The questions were prepared and probing. Well, we'll let you take a look at those clips, and I'll let you judge. But what I was fascinated by, I got this little thing where I kind of look at the backdrop behind things, and I couldn't help noticing that her brother seems, how can I put it? He's got this little smile on his face. He certainly doesn't look like it was a scary situation, and he keeps walking behind his sister and looking away, but he 2 or 3 times always breaks out into an open grin, and same when he's standing behind his mum a little later on in the interview. And it just gives the impression that there's more to this story than meets the eye. And as I say, actually, when we show the clips and the newspaper story, is that the most damaging thing, and the reason I am reporting on this story, is the most damaging thing that happens when you have these kind of situations is that next time people tend not to believe you. So the people who've been hurt the most by this actually is the Muslim community, and the credibility of the media, and the credibility of our politicians, who couldn't wait to start virtue signaling about the whole thing. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, there was actually an international response to this story. But Justin Trudeau was up there in a matter of moments. They were talking about how we have to do more to prevent hate crimes in Canada and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they really just did not wait for the police to investigate this situation. And now this girl is front and center. If they'd been allowed to investigate this story before they reported it, I mean the police, if the police were allowed to investigate this story before the press reported it, this would never have happened. Now you put this young girl at risk. I will guarantee you, just because we all know what it's like at school, that when that girl goes back to school on Monday morning, it will not be the same for her as it was the previous week. Okay, so the press, the politicians, because they were looking to jump on stories like this, and they just couldn't wait to get up there and show their concern and distress and all this kind of stuff, they have now done the exact opposite of what they wanted to do. They put this young girl in trouble. This act may have put young Asian males at risk because they were implicated in this crime. And who cut the hijab? Who actually did? Because it was given to the police as evidence, and it had obviously been cut. So that girl left home in the morning with a hijab that had already been cut, and I don't know how you could hide that from your family. The other thing I noticed that it says in the story here, in a statement released Wednesday, the family explains that they were fooled by the 11-year-old's tall tale, just as many others were, including the Prime Minister. We are deeply saddened for the pain and anger that our family has caused in the past several days, the statement reads. When our young daughter told the school that she was attacked by a stranger, the school reacted with compassion and support, as did the police. So just think, for the sake of allowing the police to do their job and investigate this thoroughly, there has so much damage has been done. And I hope the media and the politicians have learnt their lesson well, to keep their big mouths shut until the investigation is complete, which is what everyone should have done. Okay? So, let's try to avoid those kind of situations in the future, shall we?
So just tell them a little bit about what happened to you this morning.
This morning, me and my brother were walking together to school, and sadly, someone insulted me by cutting my hijab 2 times, and I felt really scared and confused because I didn't feel comfortable that people are doing this, and yeah.
How did you know what was going on?
First, I felt the man, and I turned around and I saw him with his scissors, and he ran away, and yeah.
And what did you do?
I told my brother, because my brother, me and my brother noticed, and then we both walked to school together, and we told my principal, and yeah.
So you were walking, this happened one time, and then did you scream, is that right? Or?
Yes, I screamed.
And what did the man do?
The man, he just ran away.
And then, is it right that you crossed the street after that?
Yes, we followed this crowd of people to be safe.
And then did the man come again, or was that the last you saw of him?
He came again.
And what happened when you saw him again?
He continued cutting my hijab again.
Did he say anything to you?
All that he had to do was smile. He just smiled and ran away.
Was he bigger than you? How did he look?
He was taller than me, and yeah, he was wearing all black. He was wearing a black hoodie, black pants.
Is this the hijab that you were wearing?
No, I was wearing a different hijab.
So what did he cut? Did he manage to actually damage the hijab? Like, what did it look like after you took it off?
It was cut in, I believe 12 inches.
Yeah,
12 inches. Yeah. And my friend, she kindly gave me this hijab.
So where were you? You guys were walking up Birchmount Road. Where were you walking from? Like, how far of a walk would you say you had? And had you just left home?
Yeah.
Okay, so I pause it here because I just noticed in reviewing this that when this girl is asked how long they've been walking, if you look at her brother behind, she asks, can you ask the question again? And when she's asked how long they've been walking, look at what the brother behind her says. His mouth says 2 minutes. So he's actually coaching his sister in this situation.
We just, can you repeat that actually?
Sorry, just start from the beginning. You left home, you were walking up Birchmount Road. How long would you say you'd been walking for before this guy came up behind you?
4 or 2 minutes.
2 or 4 minutes? And you were on the other side of Birchmount Road, and then you crossed Birchmount. Is that when he came up to you again?
Yeah, the second time.
Okay. What do you think of this happening?
I feel this is terrible, and I do not like it, and I feel like this should stop, and yeah.
What would you say to that man if he's watching you right now?
I think this is what you're doing is really wrong. You should not act like this, and especially I'm a kid, and yeah.
How do you feel about walking to school now? Since that
I'm actually really scared, but I have family to support me and everything.
Okay, and this is not right. Like we don't know his intentions, so this is, yeah.
What do you want to say to him right now if you could say anything?
I would just wanna, if I see him, I'm very frustrated and I'm angry, but I don't, you know what, we believe in peace and Canada. Like, I'm so proud to be a Canadian, and I want to give him the same message. Why are you thinking like this? We're all together in this, and we should live in harmony and together. Like, it's a multicultural country, so he should get help. This is wrong.
Mohammed, you were walking with your sister. Can you just tell us from your perspective what you saw and what happened?
I saw my sister. She was frightened, and I got more frightened because I'm worried if something will happen next. Like if she will get injured or something, or the guy's after my sister. So me and my sister, we're so frightened. We don't know what to do, and I'm so glad that she's safe and I'm safe. And
Mohammed,
yeah.
Can you describe the way you saw it when it happened, when the guy went and cut your sister's hijab? Can you recount that?
I saw it. I didn't saw the full thing, so I saw the guy holding scissors and took off her hood and cut it. I felt scared and worried about my sister and think what's gonna happen next to her.
So you were wearing your winter jacket. You had your hood up. You pulled the hood back and started cutting the hijab.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to do something? Did you run away? What did you do after that? I'm trying to understand how it unfolded.
Me and my sister, we didn't know what to do. We were confused, so we just went and our family friends, we went to them and just started to walk with the crowd, and we felt a little bit better, and yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Not quite sure who this woman is on the left, but she certainly seems to have some kind of stage directing role as she ushers the family off to the corner for the next part of the interview to take place. Here is an article from the Toronto Star, and I was actually surprised that they left this in because I checked with several other newspapers and they left this little detail out. This one right here. They are seeking one suspect described as an Asian man in his 20s. Also, this video is unavailable. This is by Jenna Moon and Fatima Syed, staff reporters. Because the update January 15th, 2018, Toronto Police say they have determined that this incident did not occur. Koala Noman was walking to school with her younger brother on Friday when she felt somebody pull the hood of a winter jacket down. Protected from the rain was the 11-year-old's light blue hijab, the target of a man holding a pair of scissors with a blue handle. Over the next 10 minutes, she said, she was attacked not once but twice by a man who is now a suspect in a Toronto police hate crime investigation. I felt really scared and confused, she told reporters Friday afternoon, recounting the traumatic incident in Scarborough neighbourhood near Birchmount and Shepherd Avenue East. When her attacker pulled her hood down, she said he cut her hijab from the bottom up. Terrified, she turned to face him, a young Asian male, roughly 5'8" to 6 feet tall, wearing black pants, a black hoodie and brown gloves. He had a moustache, the girl told police, and glasses too. He was smiling at her. Okay, so this is one of the really big things about this story. Here we have maligning of another minority group in Canada. This is the damaging side effects when you have the little girl who cried wolf. Okay? And this does more damage to the Muslim community than anything I can think of. and to bring into it another community. You know, this accusation, if somebody had caught this person, or this is inciting hatred against Asians. The Asians are Islamophobic. Okay, I just find it completely interesting. And as we saw in the interview, you know, the young brother had exactly the same story as the sister. He saw him cut her hijab. So either the two kids corroborated their story, or there was more involved than meets the eye here. And what I thought was kind of interesting, I found this website here. This is Fake Hate Crimes, and it is just endless. There's 9-10 pages, 17 campus hate crimes that turned out to be hoaxes. Sailor stage racist vandalism, Navy says. Black man vandalized 5 black churches. Non-white student linked to racist graffiti inside school, officials say. Hate hoax. Air Force Academy cadet wrote fake racist messages himself. Hate graffiti turns out to be, you guessed it, a hoax. Okay, so this is endless stories of fake hate crimes in USA, and of course this is in Canada too, so it's not just, it says in the USA, but it's actually right across North America, and I'm sure that there are plenty in England and Europe. Okay, so these fake crimes, they don't do anybody any good at all. And I find it interesting. One of the little things I noticed when I first saw this interview with this young girl is the expression on her brother's face as he moves around behind her. He seems to be almost smirking a little bit. And I don't know, I think if you had just had someone attack you with a pair of scissors where you could have been cut. I mean, those scissors are hacking up towards the back of your head. I mean, how she wasn't stabbed, if this had been a true story, I have no idea. And of course, this is also the press that was all there. Now, the Toronto District School Board said that they didn't organise a press conference, but you can see from the amount of microphones present that it really looks suspiciously like they had arranged a press conference. Parents were at the school, all of this kind of stuff. This all just seems very convenient. But this is what happens. This is a cause trying to find a victim. Okay, the media were in there like dirty shirts. They could not stop themselves. They rushed ahead with their story. They didn't bother to verify anything. They couldn't wait. The Prime Minister, the Mayor of Toronto, leaders internationally all spoke about this horrible, horrible, horrible attack. And now they've had to retract all of this. So next story, I have 3 pieces here. They're mostly interesting because they were in the Sunday Star. And a possible new conservatism. This is talking, it's an interesting little article about the way the Conservatives view themselves and what they may be doing to change their image. Will Trump win the age of digital journalism? Okay. This article is essentially about Trump's disdain for the media and goes back to the Nixon days and the fact that the American public were lied to about their chances of winning the Vietnam War, and this was the press reporting on the government. However, what the press missed out of that little story was the Bayer-Tompkin affair didn't actually happen, which is what provoked the war in the first place. And so they're very concerned that the public is losing faith in the veracity of the media, but really the media only has that blame to lay at their own feet because they have distorted so many stories over the years by lies of omission. Okay, you know, we can go back to the Lusitania. Okay, Pearl Harbor, Vietnam, as we just mentioned. There are many, many, many situations where we have not, the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the Stuxnet virus in Iran. We have been basically bamboozled by the press doing sloppy reporting over and over and over again. I don't know what I think about Trump tweeting out all the things that he does, but I think that the media needs to wake up. This is a wake-up call for them. That if you behave in such a way that you lose the public trust, then you pave the way for a guy like Trump to come in and start tweeting over your heads, and when you go bleep, 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 the public go, well, hey, come on, you lied to us in the first place. And so this is a challenge being thrown down, a gauntlet being thrown down to the media to start picking up on your journalism. You can clearly see by the growth of the alt media on the internet that there is a hunger for news and information which is true. And of course people are going to start researching for themselves because they have the tools of research at their fingertips. Okay, and so really blame yourself, media. Don't be crying about Trump. You created this situation, and now it's gone wild. It's gone absolutely viral because everyone is realizing that they can tweet over the top of the media, and it's a much faster mechanism of delivery. So you can't stop this stuff. You cannot stop this stuff. Anyway, that was a story that was dealt with in Black Mirror on Netflix. I'm going to give them a little plug. Black Mirror is absolutely incredible. It's the last in the third season, the last story, and it's called The Nation's Most Hated. So if you want to see to just exactly what lengths this can be taken to, watch Black Mirror, The Nation's Most Hated. Fantastic little story. So this other one is, again, in the Star, don't be fooled by the foolishness. Trump is getting things done. And so he goes through, the things that he's done in his presidency. There are actually a number of impressive legislative accomplishments that go unrecognized thanks to all the noise and nonsense. For instance, the comprehensive tax reform bill that once appeared doomed due to its unpopularity recently passed at the House and Senate despite the hysterical outcry of Democrats. In fact, recent polling indicates that Americans have taken a shine to the once unthinkable bill, and corporations have been making high-profile announcements about returning capital and jobs to the US, crediting the changes. But perhaps Trump's most shocking contribution has been on the foreign policy stage. Trump's aggressive foreign policy has had significant and positive impact on the world and has received little recognition in the public discussion. His tough talk on North Korea, for instance, has been roundly mocked as unbecoming of a leader, but one of North Korea's highest-ranking diplomatic defectors went on the record to point out that North Korea looked at former presidents as considerably more gentle than Trump, and that his rhetoric has likely spooked the regime into inaction. Anyway, my point is, the Star is a pretty left-wing newspaper, and now to see op-eds that are praising Trump is quite stunning. Okay, so we'll see. What we will see is this a turnaround in the press. Actually, I've been absolutely amazed. The onslaught. I mean, it really, everywhere you turn, certainly in the media, they feel that it is absolutely okay to flip off any disgusting comment about this man. I don't think I've ever seen people be so disrespectful, openly, wantonly disrespectful of a president. Now, that isn't a vote for Trump. I'm not praising Trump in any way, shape or form. I'm just noting the amount of open disrespect and how he has basically stood up straight, squarely, and taken that on the chin and not retaliated in an extreme fashion. I think it is praiseworthy. That's a lot to bear. I've been listening to a lot of stuff for the last year, and it has been relentless, it has been in your face, and it has been egregiously insulting. I don't think that he's any better or any worse than the last string of presidents that we've had, from Clinton right the way on up to Obama. They all had their disappointing sides, shall we say. And as Jordan Peterson said the other night in an incredible interview, which I think I'm going to do a piece on, and he was asked about what his own failings are. And his final answer was, and this is brilliant, and I'm going to close with this: until the world is redeemed, we all fall short. Okay, so I thought that was a brilliant answer. And that's going to end my news wrap up. So this is Hound Dog Steve signing off. Please like and subscribe below. Please leave a comment if you so desire and join the conversation. I am trying to bring up some of these provocative topics in a neutral fashion, because I am really just an objective observer of the situation. And yeah, join the conversation. You take care now. You have a great week coming up. See ya.